My name is Michael Taylor, and what I'm about to tell you isn't easy for me to share. I've spent years trying to forget, trying to convince myself it didn't happen the way I remember. But some things refuse to be forgotten. Some memories claw their way back, dragging you to the brink of madness. It began in the quiet little town of Ossett, West Yorkshire in the early 1970s. My wife, Christine, and I led a simple life. I worked odd jobs and she cared for our children. Life wasn't perfect. We argued like any couple, but we were a family. At least we were until I met her. Marie Robinson. She was a striking young woman, full of charisma and confidence. She led prayer meetings at our local church, and her passion was contagious. At first, I joined the group out of curiosity, but soon I found myself drawn to her energy, her unwavering faith. It felt like she could see inside me, even into the dark corners of my soul that I'd kept hidden. Christine didn't like it. She said I was changing, that I was spending too much time at those meetings. She was right, but I didn't care. Something about Marie made me feel alive, like I'd finally found a purpose. Soon after the darkness started creeping in, it began with whispers. Late at night, when the house was silent, I'd hear them. Soft, sibilant voices murmuring just out of earshot. At first, I thought it was my imagination, but the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They called my name over and over until I couldn't sleep. Christine noticed, of course. She told me I looked tired, that I needed to take a break. But how could I explain it to her? How could I tell her that every time I closed my eyes, I saw things? Horrible things. Visions of writhing, twisted forms, faces contorted in agony. A woman's voice, cold and mocking, whispering blasphemies in my ear. And then there was the rage. It came out of nowhere like a storm brewing deep inside me. One moment I'd be calm, and the next I'd be screaming, smashing plates, throwing furniture. I couldn't control it. Christine and the kids started walking on eggshells around me, their eyes filled with fear. I hated myself for it, but the worst part was that the rage didn't feel like mine. It was as if something else was inside me, pulling the strings. One night, after a particularly vicious argument with Christine, I broke down. I confessed everything, the whispers, the visions, the rage. She listened quietly, her face pale, and then she said the words that would change everything. "You need help, Michael. You need God." She reached out to the church, and soon enough they agreed. They said I was under attack, that I needed deliverance. The exorcism was scheduled for the following week. I remember the night of the exorcism like it was yesterday. The church was cold and dimly lit, the flickering candles casting eerie shadows on the walls. There were 6 priests in total, including Father Peter, the man leading the ritual. They surrounded me, their voices rising in prayer as they clutched their crucifixes and holy water. At first, nothing happened. I sat there, my head bowed, feeling foolish. But then, as Father Peter pressed the crucifix to my forehead, something inside me snapped. The rage surged through me like a tidal wave. My body convulsed violently, and a guttural growl erupted from my throat, a sound no human should be able to make. "You think you can save him?" A voice spat from my lips. "He belongs to us now." The priests didn't stop. They continued their prayers, their voices growing louder as I thrashed and screamed. I felt hands pinning me down, but they weren't enough. My strength wasn't my own anymore. And then, the visions returned, more vivid than ever. I saw Christine and the children, their faces twisted in terror, their screams echoing in my head. I begged them to stop, to leave my family alone, but the voice only laughed. "You'll destroy them yourself," it hissed. "Just you wait." At some point during the exorcism, I blacked out. When I came to, the room was silent. The priests were slumped against the walls, exhausted, their faces pale and drenched in sweat. "It's done," Father Peter said. "The demon has been cast out." But I didn't feel free. The next few days were a blur. I tried to return to normal, to be the husband and father my family needed. But the darkness lingered. I could feel it just beneath the surface, waiting for an opportunity to strike. That opportunity came one fateful night. Christine and I were arguing again. I can't even remember what it was about. Something trivial, something stupid. The kids were asleep upstairs and the house was quiet except for our raised voices. Then, without warning, it happened. The rage consumed me, hotter and fiercer than ever before. I wasn't in control anymore. My hands moved on their own, striking Christine, her screams piercing the air. I wanted to stop. I was screaming inside my own mind, but my body didn't listen. It was as if I was trapped, a passenger in my own skin. And then, everything went black. After the blackout, I was standing in the middle of the living room, my hands covered in blood. Christine was on the floor, lifeless, her face unrecognizable. The children had woken and came down to see what all the noise was about. I can still hear their cries filling the house, and I will never forget the look of fear on their face when they saw what I had done. But it wasn't just their cries that haunted me. It was the laughter, a low, guttural laughter that echoed relentlessly in my own head. The police arrived shortly after, alerted by the neighbors. I was arrested, of course. The newspapers were quick to report on this dark, twisted tale that shocked the town of Osset. The exorcism never saved me. The demon didn't leave, it just hid, biding its time. And sometimes, late at night, when the cell is quiet and the darkness presses in, I can still feel it, waiting, watching, and laughing.